What the hell's this doing here? Okay, so welcome to episode 1 of a little thing I'm going to call the PC Flipping Gauntlet, where I'm going to build and sell older spec used gaming computers to make incrementally more profits, because PC building sucks right now. It really does. RAM prices are through the roof, SSD prices are through the roof, GPUs are non-existent, and it's just so I want to sustain this hobby by just buying used parts and making them into nice systems and selling them for a little bit of money and hopefully make someone happy. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And today's journey starts with this ASUS Tough Gaming X570. And this motherboard has some lore. So ADHD story time here. Let's see how well I can ramble this off. So this motherboard came from my younger brother's first gaming computer, which was a CyberPower pre-built. It even has the same Ryzen 5 3600 under this Wraith Stealth cooler. And it served him well, and eventually he got an upgrade, moved over to a different platform, and we didn't need this anymore, so I locked it away in my chamber of parts. And when it came time to build a computer for my older brother, I went digging through my box of parts, and I was like, oh wow, there's an X570 motherboard in here, that's pretty nice. Why don't I get like a top-of-the-line AM4 chip and make him an AM4 beast? So that's exactly what I did. I got an Ryzen 9 5950X, dropped that in there, dropped in 4 sticks of RAM, made sure the BIOS was updated before I put in the 5950X, and it turned on, it posted, but when I got into the BIOS, I noticed that only memory slots A1 and B1 were being read. Despite all 4 DIMM slots being populated, only A1 and B1 were being read. A2 and B2 were like, nah, fuck you, even though there was RAM in there. I was like, that's a little concerning. Are there bent pins on my 5950X? Did I over tighten the cooler? So I took the cooler off and took out the chip, and I looked underneath, and no bent pins, so I dropped it back in the socket and very gingerly put the cooler back on and jumped the power pins. It turns on, it posts, same issue. Only A1 and B1 are being read. And I go, oh, well that's no fun. So I shelved the motherboard, and since I already have a 5950X in my hands now, I just get the cheapest AM4 motherboard from Newegg. I think it was a Gigabyte B550 Eagle or something. It's got like 5 PCIe slots. It's a ridiculous board. And that's what's in his build currently, and it worked just fine with all 4 DIMM slots fully populated. So flash forward a couple of months from then, and I get in contact with a friend who's like, hey, I want to build a computer for my boyfriend, and I hear you do computer stuff. And I'm like, hell yeah, I do. Let me go rummage through my bin of parts and see what I can come up with. And I find this motherboard, and I'm like, oh, sweet, an X570 motherboard. Why haven't I used this yet? And then it takes me a concerning amount of time to remember, oh yeah, that's right, 2 of the memory slots don't want to work. So I'm like, well, guess I'm either gonna find out if this is actually broken, or I'm just never ever gonna use it. So I put together another test rig with a Ryzen 5 5500, populate all 4 DIMM slots, and plug in my trusty GTX 1050 Ti. And I jump the power pins, and it turns on, and it doesn't post. It gives me a VGA error light. And I'm like, no way, man. No way my GTX 1050 Ti, my very first discrete graphics card that turns 10 in April, because I got it for my 13th birthday, ain't no way it just died. Like, come on, man. So I take out the 1050 Ti and I put in a Radeon RX 5500 XT in this PCIe slot and power it on, and same VGA error light. And I go, oh, that's no good. And then I'm like, what do I do? So I move it down a PCIe slot, and it posts no problem. I'm like, great. So not only do I suspect that a memory channel is dead, but also the primary PCIe slot is dead. Flash forward to last night, when I'm like, I still have that X570 motherboard. I want to get to the bottom of what's wrong with it. So I drop in 4 known working sticks of RAM, the original Ryzen 5 3600, and my GTX 1050 Ti, and it posts no error lights, and all 4 DIMM slots are recognized. And I go, great, was it just a BIOS compatibility issue? Am I just fucking stupid? The answer to those questions is probably yes. I don't think this has the latest BIOS, and also I am a confirmed idiot. I'm incredibly dumb, but that's what makes this funny, is because when I actually figure something out, it's like, oh yeah, you did it. Good job, buddy. Anyways, we're gonna be building a computer with this now that I know that the CPU works and this motherboard is fine. I'm just an idiot. We're going to be putting together a system and selling it, hopefully for a bit of money. So the first thing I want to do is get my screwdriver out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take off the stock cooler. Oh, that's a noise. My bit came out. Ooh, that's no fun. What? Ta-da! Oh man, look at that thermal paste application. I want to wipe this down. Cool. Okay. Here's our Ryzen 5 3600. Yoink. I'm going to be putting a new cooler on. Cooler we'll be using is this Thermalright Assassin X128 Digital. It's got a nice little screen on it. Should be fun. So this tricked me for a bit because I opened the box for the AM4 mounting hardware and these brackets were in there. But these are the brackets for LGA 1151 and LGA 1200 and AM4. It's strange. So it's like these holes are for the LGA and then these holes are for AM4. So, you tricked me. Good, thanks. Just what I needed. Okay. Before I forget, I'm going to populate our A2 and B2 with some RAM. This is 16 gigabytes of GSKILL Ripjaws. Okay. What's your favorite thermal paste pattern? Mine is just the dot that goes in the middle. Okay. Now the fan. And there we go. Yay. That sure is a thing. So this has to plug into a USB header. So that'll go down here. And now I've got this just oodles of cable slack. So you know what? We're gonna do a little... Nice. It's a little cleaner. And then this will go to our CPU fan, which is right there. Wipe it down, because again, dusty has just been sitting on my desk, waiting to be used. Okay, now I'm going to drop in the amazing drive that we have set aside for this if I can find it. Oh, there it is. A 128 gigabyte SATA. No NVMe here. I couldn't afford one. This is pulled out of my older brother's old Alienware pre-built. Platform is prepped and ready to go into the case. The case we will be using is the Gamdias Aura GC7 ARGB. This was $45. My hopes are not very high. Okay, let's do a little bit of... That's the case. It's quite small. It's very light. I'm worried. This case comes with 3 included ARGB fans. That's what it says. They're definitely, they look like fans. I will cry if they're SATA powered. They are SATA powered. I'm wondering if it's just the RGB that's, SATA powered. Well, they're motherboard screws, and it even came with some zip ties and free standoffs. God, it weighs nothing. Like, I could pick it up just... It's made of just feathers. Okay, I'm gonna put in the IO shield. I'm gonna put in the IO shield the correct way around. There we go. Oh man. Okay, that sucked. That was awful. Putting in that IO shield was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Okay, now it's time to put the platform in the case. I had to rearrange all the standoffs off camera because I think they were set up for a micro ATX platform, so I had to switch them around to full-size ATX, and every time I tried to do this take, I noticed a standoff in the wrong place. So I have put this motherboard in, tried to screw it down, and went, oh, there's not a standoff there. At least 5 times. All the standoffs should be in the right place now. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And again. And again. Yay. I'm just gonna fast forward that and put the Lego Star Wars building sound effect over it just because this took so long because of how many things I just kept messing up. Okay, now it's time to get the power supply in. For this, I got a brand new ASRock PRO-650G 80 plus gold non-modular power supply. It was the cheapest good power supply I could get. Okay, power supply is mounted. Now I want to get the hard drive in there, but I also kind of want to remove the hard drive cage so I have room to store these excess cables. But first, we're going to wire everything. Yeah, I ended up undoing all of these cables. I can't really settle with a solid cable management way because cable managing in this case fucking sucks. Holy shit. Rant about it later, but I'm gonna keep plugging away at this. I just ate dinner, so I'm all refueled and ready to go. I don't know what this is. They don't say what it is on the manual. It's some 2-pin connector of some kind. Seems to be coming from the front panel, but I don't know what it is. I really don't. Okay, I'm gonna do a test fit of the back panel and see if we got somewhere. Oh, it fits. Okay. Alright, well, is it the best cable management I've done? No. But it's also not the worst I think that's ever been done. It's like a door. Exactly one of these PCIe slot covers is a one you can screw off. The others look like you have to break them. GPU we are using is a Radeon RX 5500 XT with 8 GB of VRAM. Okay. That is some flimsy metal. I hate putting GPUs in. I'm just so laughably bad at it. Alright, well, that took a lot more effort than I'm willing to admit, because I suck at putting in GPUs. I don't know why, I just do. Now, all that's left to do is fasten the GPU in place, give it some power, and we are ready to boot. Alright, let's do this. Oh! Oh! Let's go! Let's go! Okay, well, I guess a job well done. I'm gonna do a little bit of housekeeping and then I'll do a little montage of, you know, like panning the camera around and being like, look at it. It's complete. Oh, cable managing in this was a nightmare. Like, this nearly drove me up the fucking walls, cable managing in here. There's just no room for anything. Especially damning was the CPU power cable channel and the motherboard power and front panel cables. It was just so cramped. I'm surprised I even got the back panel on. But, you know, for $45, you get 3 ARGB fans, and it's a decently compact little case. You know, I would give it a 3 stars out of 5. So I guess all that's left to do is put an operating system on it and see how my games run. So, I've had this computer in my possession for about a week now. I haven't listed it or anything just because there are aspects of it that when I think about them make me really angry. Like, why did I do that angry? The first is that teeny tiny 128GB SATA SSD we're using as the boot drive. That just is not gonna cut it in 2026. And the second is that 650 watt non-modular power supply that has only one PCIe 8-pin connector. Yeah, I would feel really bad handing this off to a new owner and saying, well, if you ever want to upgrade anything in here, you're also going to need a new power supply. So I'm giving them this MSI power supply, 750 watt fully modular, and I'm replacing that cursed 128GB SSD with a 1TB SSD. Should be a lot better than 128 gigabytes in 2026. Now, the only thing that's kind of ticking me off is the 16GB of RAM, but I can't really do anything about that without sinking more money in this fucking awful RAM market right now. So I'm gonna have to redo all the cable management, well, most of the cable management. I'm gonna have to redo all the power cables. I'm gonna have to get the new SSD in, and then I will list this computer for sale for a new owner to play some games with in this horrible PC market. See you on the other side. Oh yeah, something I did off camera is I redid all the cable management using Velcro instead of zip ties, just in case I wanted to, you know, do something like put a new power supply in. It would be a lot better if I didn't have to go in and cut a bunch of zip ties off and waste a bunch of plastic, so Velcro. Okay, well, the ASRock power supply is free. I'm gonna be using this as my like test power supply for test rigs instead, because it's a good power supply. I mean, it powered this thing well. It's just not the wattage I wanted, and non-modular in 2026. Oof. Now I'm gonna take the GPU out so I can get to the SSD and replace it.
Oh, what's up? Ah!
Now that is what I want to see.
All right, time to juice it up. So I've brought up the Newegg listing for the case I used in this build, and you know, for $45, it really wasn't all too bad. It's just cable management was quite rough, especially when trying to route the CPU power cable. When I put in the new MSI power supply, the cutout for the CPU power cable up top was just barely tolerant of the actual head of the CPU power cable. And, you know, for the price point, there are some niceties, like, you know, it's got 3 ARGB fans, it's decently compact, which is both a positive and a negative. It can support all the way up to a full-size ATX motherboard, even though it's quite small. And, you know, for $45, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. I'm the first person to review this case on Newegg. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 instead of my original, I said 3 out of 5, because it really... I keep going back to the price. I sound like a broken fucking record, but $45 gets you a decent case. And I said that in my review. I just said it's decent for the price, but cable management is tricky. This is about everything I've said over the course of this entire video. It's compact while still fitting a full ATX motherboard, comes with 3 ARGB fans, but they're SATA powered, so you can't control the RPM. Cable management in the back is kind of rough. There's not a lot of room for the CPU power cable. I did manage to, you know, tidy things up enough to the point where I could put on the back panel without any issue, but it was still a little rough. Would I buy this case again? I'm not sure. But, you know, if you really need a case and can't spend more than $50 on it, it's all right. It really is.